Okay, I'm here with Lizzie, and we're going to be discussing prompt one. Which piece of mass media has had the biggest influence on your perception of class?
I think mostly filmed with that. A lot of the time with like films that have, come out, like especially over time, has like warped my perception of a lot of stuff.
How has this media affected your identity, like how you think and act, and how has this media affected your interaction with others?
I think this has definitely affected like a lot of how I think about certain societal classes. Like it's very like based it's very hard lines where it's like there's an obvious lower class, an obvious middle class, an obvious higher class, but like but as more comes around, like that's how I grew up thinking, like my family had money, and so I always identified myself in like the upper middle class area. And it's like a lot of the times it's like it's you shouldn't really interact with like lower class. Like in the movies they always perceived it as like anyone in the upper class doesn't associate with lower class, and that always kind of put something in my head. But nowadays with stuff coming out, they've kind of like changed the way they see that. And so and like also like now when I interact with other people, like especially with other things that have come out, like I don't see them for their like class necessarily. Like with the new movies that have been coming out, like they really try to like go over like fix that issue of there's not such a hard lines anymore, and that it's like it doesn't matter how much money you have, like you can still be friends with other people and everything.
Right. So which piece of media has affected your perception of race?
I think for that, like films, TV shows, and like musicians especially, there's like a lot of stuff, like this has been a huge debate like forever, and like a lot of those those things have like captured a lot about it.
So how has it affected how you think and act and your interaction with others?
It's definitely changed a little bit, like especially when you're younger, like you're not really exposed to that stuff yet, so you don't see race, like it's not really like very like
you don't see
up
it
and forward.
Different races.
Yeah, like you don't be like, oh, she's black, oh, she's like Mexican. But then like as you get older, then with these shows and with these movies and especially music, like talking about their experiences and like all these artists speaking up, like then you start to see like, wow, like there are different races, and it kind of like puts you in a bit of a different, like for me personally, like it doesn't bother me that much. Like I have a lot of friends of different races, but it definitely is always in the back of your head now with the way, and you always are subconsciously thinking about it like from then on.
So which piece of media has had the how do you interact with, how does the media with race affect your interaction with others, do you think?
I mean, that's I kind of said that with the like with like it's always like it's
friends, you don't see them.
Yeah, like I don't see it, but like it's always in the back of my head now that they're in a different race, that they're a different race than me, though,
Right. Okay, never mind. Sorry. Which piece of mass media has had the biggest influence on your perception of gender?
I think pretty much what I said, like almost all mass media sites. I mean, everything covers it, like to video games, books, like movies, TV shows, music, all that stuff, like carries, like has everything associated with gender in it.
Yeah. How has it affected how you think and act and your interaction with other people?
It definitely like solidifies kind of like the male-female roles in a lot of things, and like especially growing up, with like I'm not that old, like I grew up in the early 2000s, but the shows around that time were still very like girl boy, like this is girls wear the dresses and they're always going to like prom, and then the guys show up and like being very helpful to the girl, masculine, opening the door, taking all the handyman stuff. So I always kind of saw that as like it really warped my perception of like women are kind of the weaker gender, but then like I always kind of saw it that way, like males were always the superior ones in terms of stuff. And like whenever I would see people, like when I was younger especially, you know, it's just kind of like that idea is put into your head of like, oh wow, he's a guy, so he must be super strong, or like she's a girl, like she wouldn't be able to lift that or whatever. And then now with like everything coming out today, like it's all flipped and everything, and it shows that like women can be whatever they want, guys can be like as feminine as they want to be and everything. So like you'll always like that, it'll always be stuck in your head about like the original gender roles that's been like put for so many years. But like now you see it and you're like, wow, like we don't have to conform to all these things, we don't have to do this. And like now when I hang out with people, it can be like you can be whatever the heck you want, and it's like it doesn't change, you know. It kind of like when you talk to people, it's like, oh wow, like you're a guy and you like, I don't know, wearing makeup, like who, you know, who cares? It's just something that's a part of their identity and what they like to do.
Okay, thank you.